The full moon hung low over the dense dark forest, casting pale glow that turned every gnarled trunk into a twisted shadow. The wind off the cliff carried a sharp, cold bite that cut through still air. A man and a woman stood frozen at the cliff's jagged edge. The woman's shoulders shook with ragged, gasping sobs. The man stepped forward, one hand outstretched, to try to calm her, to take the bundle from her arms. She flinched back, pressing her heels against the loose rock at the edge, and twisted away before he could reach her. The tiny wail of the infant rose from her arms, thin and frantic against the wind. She let out a raw, desperate cry that bounced off the rock faces below. Her arms went back, then forward. She hurled the wailing infant over the sharp precipice. The man clamped his hands over his face, too distraught to watch the fall. His shoulders shook with silent, heaving sobs. Neither of them noticed the large orange cat hidden behind a nearby oak, half concealed by low-hanging brush. The cat's wide eyes locked onto the falling baby, every muscle in its body going rigid. Its tail stopped twitching. Its paws tensed against the mossy ground. Intense alarm flooded every line of its frame, and it coiled to spring, before the echo of the woman's cry had even faded from the cliff. It sprang. Its massive body launched off the mossy bank, cutting through low underbrush with a speed that defied its size. It darted down the steep, loose scree slope after the plummeting baby, claws digging into loose rock to hold its momentum. Small stones skittered down ahead of it, dislodged by its rushing paws. Halfway down, a patch of wet moss gave way under its front paw. It slid 3 feet down the slope, claws scrabbling for purchase before it caught a gnarled root and righted itself. It did not pause. It did not waste a second. It kept going, eyes locked on the empty mist where the baby had vanished at the cliff base. When it reached the bottom, it searched every ledge and crevice, but the first infant was gone. A thin, faint cry drifted down from the pine trees above, cutting through the cold silence. It lifted its head. Minutes earlier, a sharp-eyed hawk had snatched another abandoned infant from a moss-lined nest high in the pine's branches, leaving the second behind in its rush. The cat scrambled up the rough trunk, claws sinking into bark to pull itself higher. It reached the nest edge, found the tiny crying infant, and curled its large soft paws carefully around the warm bundle. It adjusted its grip until no claw pricked the child's skin, then padded back down the trunk. It turned toward the distant glow of town at the forest edge, and set off at a steady, purposeful pace. It pushed through the swinging glass doors of the hospital, walked straight down the sterile hallway into a treatment room, and set the baby gently on the examination table. The startled doctor dropped his pen, immediately called for the medical team over the intercom. The cat sat back on its haunches by the table, tail held still, watching every movement of the staff as they swarmed in. They checked the baby from head to toe, ran quick tests, wrapped it in a warm blanket, and found no injuries, no illness, only a slight drop in temperature that would correct quickly. A nurse tried to usher the cat out of the treatment room to keep the space clear for paperwork. The baby immediately began to wail, kicking its small legs, turning its head toward the door searching for the orange shape. The doctor waved the nurse back, nodded to let the cat stay. The cat padded back to the side of the hospital bed, and the baby's cries faded to soft coos almost instantly. Hours passed. The cat never left its post, only shifting its weight when the nurses checked the IV line that fed the tiny arm. When dawn touched the window, the baby stirred, opened its eyes, and woke healthy. It gurgled, then giggled, and reached out its chubby arms toward the large orange cat. The cat held the child's small hand with its paw for a long moment. Then its form rippled, shifted, and it stood on 2 legs where the animal had been. He walked out to the corridor to meet the waiting doctor, who carried the baby's chart. When the doctor stepped away to process admission paperwork, he turned back to the room. He leaned in and nuzzled the child's soft cheek, leaving a silent mark of the unbreakable bond between them.